Who needs a spooky, creepy swamp sign? I do. Alright everybody, welcome back to Tabletop Witchcraft. This week we're going to change it up and work on this guy right here. A little swamp sign, scary sign, spooky sign, whatever you want to call it. It's going in a swamp for me, so that's why I came up with swamp sign. The build is really tiny. It was a lot of fun to build. It didn't take long. To be honest, it's almost like painting a miniature, but there's a lot of cool little components in here. This crow that I made, you'll see in the video, I made it out of green stuff. The moss was pillow stuffing, painted and sprayed with some flocking. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of cool little things in here. I'll explain the whole thing step by step. If you like the video, which I hope you do, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for all further videos here on Tabletop Witchcraft. Let's get crafting. Alright, so we're going to start by grabbing a pin vise, the bit that whatever's going to fit the size of the stick you're using. And I just drill a hole right into a 1-inch base and find a stick out in your yard and just put it right in there. Now to sturdy it up, we're going to coat the entire thing in hot glue. A lot of the stuff I use in this crafting video you can find in the description below. Alright, now this is the fun part. Take some other smaller twigs that you found in the yard and just hot glue those in whatever shape you want your sign to look like. And once those are in place, again, coat the entire thing in hot glue. Okay, now I'm just filling the entire base with hot glue. It's going to do a few things. Obviously hold the stick in place, but I'm going to drop a little washer in there to add some weight, and then just press it down on some parchment paper, not wax paper, parchment paper, and hold it there for a minute till it cools. And check that out, you got a nice flat smooth bottom to the piece there with a decent amount of weight holding it in place. Now we're going to go ahead and just take some pair of wire cutters there and just cut into some skewers or toothpicks, actually. You know, some broken edges, you know, something that you might find on a sign that was crudely put together or snapped to size. And once you have that in place, I'm using an X-Acto knife here just to kind of cut out some you know, some glyphs or some, you know, some weird writings into the sign. And I just wanted to try this here. I'm actually using a little bit of the heat from the hot glue gun. I'm not actually applying any glue, just using the heat to kind of put some wood grain into that popsicle stick. Now I'm just adding a little bit of hot glue and sticking the sign right on there. And you'll notice right where the tree limbs are for the sign, I put a couple little holes to represent nail holes. Alright, now I made a little crow here, or raven, out of some green stuff. I didn't show that here. Just kind of basically having fun, like, you know, back in the good old days when we were kids and making stuff out of Play-Doh. That's all I did with the green stuff here, and just gonna fix him right to the top of the signpost. I'll do a video later on working with green stuff. I've actually been using that quite a bit lately in my builds. Now I've got some skulls here. Again, I'll put a link to those in the description where I got them, but I think that's an orc skull and a couple of human skulls that I'm gonna glue in place on the signpost. After all, this is a creepy, spooky signpost, right? Alright, then I just used a little bit of either PVA glue or tacky glue, whatever you want. And those are just some little rocks that I bought at the craft store. And just glue those into the base however you want. And now I'm going to cover the rest in sand. Alright, now we're going to go and take some Mod Podge, black paint, and thin down with water and coat the entire piece. I'm not going to coat the skulls on this though. You know, they don't need to be covered with that. They'll end up losing a lot of detail if you cover those. And then just take some brown paint and paint up the wood. And now I'm just doing a little base coat of some white on the skulls. Alright, and then the sign itself I did in a like a dark gray color. Alright, the raven, it's a little hard to tell here, but I painted him black, and I actually used at one point here a little bit of dark purple where his wings were. Now I'm just using a little bit of brown, a light brown, on the sand. And we're going to wash this all, so I know it looks really bright now, but that wash really knocks the color down. And then we'll do a light dry brush here of a lighter brown over all the wood. And then I did a light dry brush of a lighter gray over the sign. And then that same lighter gray over the stone as well. Alright, now I'm using a Vallejo bone color. I think it's called bone white. And I'm going to paint all the skulls on that. Once we hit these with the Agrax Earthshade wash, it's really going to make those skulls look good. And then I just decided to make the writing, you know, red. Make it look like blood maybe. Okay, so this is the Nuln Oil wash. I'm gonna use that on the gray. I'll use it on the gray sign. I'll use it on the crow, and on the stones on the base. And this is the Agrax Earthshade brown wash. So you use that over all the brown, put it on the skulls, and over the sand on the base of the signpost. Alright, now we're just going to kind of bring up some highlights on the skulls. You want to hit the forehead, the eyebrows, maybe some teeth, cheekbones, think of where the light's coming from, and those are the areas that you kind of want to highlight and make them stand out. It really does make a big difference with these highlights. And I just did a little touch up here on the bird, and then a little eye work here. I'm gonna just dab the eye with some white. And all the miniature paints that I use for the most part are either Vallejo or Reaper. And then the fun part, a little dab of black there for the pupil. Might be a little hard to see there, but came out pretty decent. And now that we've had the entire piece washed, we're going to do a dry brush of a lighter brown or tan over the wood to bring out the bark and all those highlights. And then base color, go around the rim there in some black. Famous saying, you can paint the rim any color you want as long as it's black. I kind of go by that rule, but really, I mean, you can paint it any color you want. Alright, now that's just a little bit of regular just PVA glue and some flocking. I'm going to go ahead and just mix that together and apply that wherever you want, moss to be growing on your sign. And this is just some dead grass tufts that I put on here. I'm not looking for anything bright green and vibrant on this piece. And then a little Vallejo thick mud. And I'm probably going to cover a pretty good majority of the sand that we put on the bottom. And this really does have a texture of mud. It actually has what appears to be remnants of like organic matter in this, like little sticks and stuff. So you want a pretty decent brush to put it on there, not a fine detail brush. And one, obviously, that's not a good brush because it's gonna get a beating using it for an application like that. And then just a little bit of glue here, some PVA glue. I got a neat little addition here. So once you got the glue down, I've got some leaves, some dried leaves that I'm gonna apply. Pile them up, like in a corner, like maybe they blew into a big pile. And then what I find, I think a lot of work on small pieces like this, it's the details and trying to get the leaves on the base. You think, oh, it's got to be just right, but one leaf stuck up in that signpost, or two leaves, and some random little pieces here and there are the details that I like to apply and what I think really make a piece stand out. Alright, now I just got a little bit of polyester, like pillow stuffing here. I've already done this, but basically just spray it with some spray glue and then dump some flocking on it. And that's all that moss is that you see there that's hanging off the sign. So I make that in a big batch, and then I'm just applying here with some super glue. And then I just take a pair of scissors and, you know, trim it however you want, any straggling pieces or whatever. And there you have it. Alright everyone, we did it. Another craft in the books. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, comment and subscribe, and hit the bell notification for all further videos here on Tabletop Witchcraft. Until next time, see you around.